Today we're going to explore consistent versus inconsistent systems of equations. A consistent system of equations is a system of equations that has at least one solution. That means they intersect at least one point. For example, the graph on the right both intersect at the point in red. That means this system of equations is consistent. Another example, in this example, the two lines overlap on top of each other. Therefore, they intersect everywhere. They are essentially the same line. This is also a consistent system of equations in that it intersects at least one time. Please pause the video and copy this into your notes. An inconsistent system of equations is a system of equations that has no solutions. In other words, they never intersect. For our purposes, in 2 dimensions, this means they're parallel. For example, the two lines on the right are inconsistent because those two lines are parallel. Another way to determine that is by looking at the slopes of the two equations. If we look at these two linear equations, we can see that their slopes are the same. We know that if the slopes are the same, the lines are parallel. Since the lines are parallel, we know the two lines are inconsistent. That means they never intersect. Please pause the video and copy this into your notes. Please try the following problems in your notes. Mark which graphs are consistent and inconsistent. Then look at the equations of the lines. Mark which of these graphs are consistent versus inconsistent. Note, they don't line up. Number 1 and number 4 are not the same equation. Number 2 and number 5 are not the same equation. And number 3 and number 6 are not the same equations. Each problem is different. Please pause the video, copy this in your notes, and try the problems. The first problem is consistent because the two lines intersect at a single point. Number 2, the two lines are inconsistent because they're parallel. They have the same slope. Number 3, the two lines are consistent because they are exactly the same line and they intersect everywhere. Therefore, they have at least one point in common. Number 4, the two lines are consistent because they're perpendicular. They intersect. You can see this by graphing it on your calculator or graphing it by hand. The next two are inconsistent because they have the same slope. Therefore, they're parallel. Please pause the video and copy this in your notes before we get into the last question. In this last question, we see that these two equations are not in the same form. One is in y equals mx plus b form, the other one is in kind of standard form, except for the minus sign. So we need to get these into a form where we can look at the slopes of both of them, then determine whether they are consistent or inconsistent. Please pause the video if you haven't done so already, and try to get these two lines in the same form. How about we use y equals mx plus b form? By taking the first equation and rewriting it, we can see that the two equations are exactly the same. Therefore, they're the same line, And they are consistent because they intersect everywhere. Please pause the video and copy this into your notes. Here's another way to solve this problem. We can find 2 points and calculate the slope of those 2 points. We see that the slopes are the same, therefore the lines are parallel. Please pause the video and copy this into your notes.